Thank you for listening to Ingram Law. As always, we appreciate you being a guest. Our website is joeingramlaw.com. Again, joeingramlaw.com. Our phone number is 205 335 2640. Tonight, our topic is 10 quick tips if you are considering filing for divorce. As always, we take your questions off the air and we will get back to you if you have those. And we appreciate you being a guest and sharing your time with us. We are into the new year now, and it's that time of the year where people start getting ready to file for divorce. So these are some important tips if you find yourself in this situation. These are not in any particular order. Number one, never threaten divorce until you are ready to file, because your spouse may start to move assets, make plans with the children, which could hurt you later. So take time to plan things. Do not threaten divorce until you are ready to do so. Organize your documents. This cannot be overstated. As a lawyer that works on billable hours myself, just like when you go see your accountant at tax time, it's not a good idea to take your documents to the accountant in a box and say, here's my tax documents, you figure it out. Now, I've had this happen before, and I'll be glad to do it if you want me to bill you by the hour, or my staff at their hourly rate, bill you by the hour. If you bring me a box of documents when they are requested as discovery and make me go through them and organize them. The better prepared you are and the more organized you are, the more money you're going to save in lawyer billable hour fees. Things that you need to gather for your lawyer are tax returns, usually 2 to 5 years of tax returns, bank statements, maybe a year's worth of bank statements, check registers to show how much money is coming in and going out every month, investment statements to see how much money has accrued during the marriage in a investment account, retirement account statements. Life insurance policies are important. Mortgage statements and documents are important. If you have a financial statement, need a copy of that as well. Credit card statements. If you happen to have a family trust that you are the beneficiary of, we need that as well. Titles to automobiles. If you find yourself as a self-employed individual, we need for you to gather as much information as possible about the finances of your business. So those are some documents that we'll need. Next, number 3, focus on the kids. Believe it or not, kids are smarter than we give them credit for. I'll have mom or dad come in to see me about a divorce. I'll say, how are your kids coping? And they'll say, oh, they don't know what's going on. And sure enough, maybe we get into the divorce and I have to meet with the children about what's going on in the divorce between mom and dad. And they'll be much more articulate than we give them credit for. So, pay attention to your children. Do not involve them in your battle. Don't make them pick sides between mom and dad. It's not fair for them or to create unwanted emotional problems for them. This is a good rule of thumb if you're able to do it. If you really plan for a divorce, it's a good idea to have 3 months of living expenses in the bank. And you're going to say, Joe, why should I do this? Well, if you are the wife and your husband tries to cut you off financially when we first file for divorce, if you have some money in the bank, you have a cushion to rely on to pay expenses, maybe attorney fees, until we can get to court and get you some temporary income coming in, which could take sometimes maybe 30 or 45 days to get in front of a judge. So it's a good rule of thumb if you can have three months of resources in the bank. This is very important. Obtain good legal advice. This is not a time to cut corners. Do not lawyer shop for the cheapest lawyer. Look for a good lawyer that has a very good reputation in the legal community. Do some research. Look at them on avo.com, their Google reviews. It's okay to ask your lawyer, how many divorce cases have you tried? How many divorce cases have you gone to mediation on? How many custody trials have you been a part of? Those are all fair questions. Also, when you consider hiring a lawyer, depending on the market you're in, say I'm in the Birmingham market or the Huntsville market or Montgomery or even Mobile, you want to look at what the lawyer rates are per hour. Now, Birmingham market, good lawyers are, between $250, $350 an hour in a contested divorce case. So, and always negotiate with your lawyer. A good lawyer sometimes will negotiate their fees with their client. There are no hard and fast rules. Some cases, if I really want to help a client, I negotiate my fee with them on my billable rate. The next rule of thumb to have is make sure you have some available credit at your fingertips. You may want to apply for a credit card so you have access to some liquid money in case your spouse cuts you off when you first file for divorce to pay for living expenses or, again, attorney fees. So make sure you have access to some liquid money. This is very important in this day and time. Have a safety plan in place if there is a history or a risk of domestic violence. Now, folks, I'm going to get very real with you here. You know your spouse. If you are the wife and you know that your husband is either verbally or physically abusive, this is important for you. It is equally important if you have children involved. You need to have a plan in place in this day and time. You can tell a mom or dad if they're living. You can tell a sibling if you can trust and can confide in a sibling. Hey, I'm about to go through a divorce. My husband is verbally abusive. I just need for you to be there for me right now in case I need a safety plan. You might want to make sure there are no weapons in the home before you file for divorce. There is always the availability in this day and time to file what we call as a PFA. PFA. Joe, what is that? Protection from Abuse Order. You and I go down to the courthouse. We fill out a simple petition. It's a check, fill in the box, petition kind of complaint. It's an affidavit you submit under oath. If the court finds it has merit and you're truthful, which you would be, the court can enter a temporary restraining order against your spouse when we file for divorce. So that is available to you if you feel like you need it. Next tip, and this goes as a follow-up to our safety plan. Surround yourself with good, supportive family and friends. You will need them during this time if it's a custody case or a contested divorce case. Divorce cases can take 3 months. Sometimes they can take 6 months. Sometimes they can take a year or two. In fact, I have one case that lasted 3 years before we actually got to trial on the divorce case. And you've heard me say this term before. I didn't invent it, but I talk about it all the time. Trauma trim. Trauma trim. You'll either gain weight or you'll lose weight during a divorce, depending on your personality and how you handle the stress. This last tip is most important, and it may help us resolve your case quicker and more economically beneficial for you and your spouse. Try to remain civil and treat your spouse with respect. At some point in time, you saw something good in this person and you married them. Now, maybe the marriage has died, lost its love. Maybe your spouse has cheated, committed adultery. Maybe the two of you have grown apart. Maybe you raised the children, and as the children reached age of majority, you've grown apart and you can't live together anymore. But I'll have mom or dad come in and they'll say, as soon as my child reaches 19, I'm not going to have any contact with my ex-spouse ever again. And they haven't looked at the entire picture. You may have to attend weddings, graduations, funerals in the future with your ex-spouse. It will be better for you, your ex-spouse, and your children if you can remain civil. I am a product of that very tip I just gave you. Our family had a divorce. The parents were able to come together for times of weddings, graduations, funerals, events of nature, and everybody could get along and not be at each other's throat, if you will, during those special times that will occur in your children's lives. So those are just some thoughts about filing for divorce. I hope you found them helpful for you. As always, we do take your questions off the air if you submit those to us. Our website is joeingramlaw.com. Our phone number is 205-335-2640. As we always say, take care of yourself and each other and have a good night. No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.